LH360 is a strategic funding initiative, and it got started over 15 years ago related to this building and the fact that God had blessed us with a desire to build a building. After 4 different locations in the first year, we felt like all of us in owning our own homes, it's just a good idea to have a home base. And so from there, the leadership team began to pray, Lord, how are we going to pay for this? How are you going to do this? And so thus, LH360.
So we've been at Living Hope really for all of our family life. Our boys were young in the 9 and 7 range when we started here. So it's kind of the only church that we've known as a family. And our involvement has kind of run the gamut.
But we had actually just become believers when we, probably about a year before Living Hope formed. So we were new Christians and have seen our children grow in this environment, and we've grown in this environment, and grown as Living Hope's grown.
Bill Christian married us, and then when the church started, I was actually baptized by him at the YMCA.
I can remember being on this property with Zach Taylor and Shad Spencer on a Saturday morning and just wrapping our arms around each other and just calling out to God as to whether this was the property that he had for us.
Coming to the groundbreaking that day, it was a really windy day. I think it might have even snowed a little bit. But I had the privilege of being asked to pray that day over the land. And it was just like a big field. It was an empty field, and we just had dreams of what it would be. LH360 was the way that we could, God would allow us to build this beautiful place that we have now. And instead of jumping from, like Brad said, 4 different locations, that everybody would know week to week, we're gonna be right here, and this is where God has us. And we were so excited for that and so thankful that God allowed us to be a part of LH360 from the very beginning.
I remember thinking that when we began worshiping out here, it was kind of in the middle of nowhere, but in a literal sense, it brought home how we were sent out. We are out in our community groups and backyard Bible clubs we did and all kinds of things like that just was meaningful at the time and still is.
Almost 100% of the first 3-year LH360 went towards payment of the building. But our whole goal from the very beginning was to see God allow us to continue to focus on church planning, invest in missions, not only church planning, but also develop and train church planners, and do things that we most recently have done in the area of refugee resettlement and foster and adoption care.
It all ties back to not just being here in this building that Jenny said earlier, but how are we using this building to reach out?
Having served as an elder, one of my responsibilities was I got to approve the checks that went out. And so like even doing that little thing, I was like, okay, check here, check, but just to see the details of where all these gifts were going to, both locally here in Memphis and all across the world, and just to get the chance to pray over that and be thankful for that and thankful for LH360 and those who contributed to LH360.
I love watching all the videos. I think last week we watched one on the churches in Afghanistan, and it's just so cool to me that, you know, money that we contribute goes towards that, and that we're in a small way like part of that. It's just awesome to see how God uses those gifts.
I'm excited for LH360 this time because it will allow us to be debt-free. It frees up us to spend money in other ways and to invest in other ways. It frees us up to have community involvement. It frees us up to help at Hope Center. All those things honor the Lord, and it's really exciting.